Welcome to Unlocked NAMFS Podcast Episode 4, Unlocking Value Through Shared Knowledge.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Season 1 of the NAMFS Podcast, Episode 4. Very excited you all have joined us. Have a very exciting group of panelists to talk through some questions and why they joined the NAMFS organization today. So I'll start with introductions and I'll go first. My name is Kelly Chambers. I'm the COO of G7 Service Group. We're a national property preservation and inspection company. And I've been serving on the board of directors for NAMFS for about 3 years and have been engaged for many more years than I want to mention. So, Eric.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. Eric Miller, Executive Director of NAMFS. Been in that role since 2011. Prior to that, I was actually in the field related to the Nationals, one of the national companies, and prior to that, spent some time in the environmental industry. So with that, I'll turn it over to Chelsea.
Yes, so my name is Chelsea Gattery. I'm head of vendor management at Altisource. I've been in the industry about roughly 7 years, and I manage all of the preservation and inspection vendors that complete services for Altisource. And I will hand it over to Suzanne.
Hello, I'm Suzanne Phillips. I'm president of SoCal Inspectors. I've been in the industry for many years, over 25 years. Started out in the field doing inspections very solo, grew as the industry and recession hit, have been covering California for inspections for many years. Sorry.
Fantastic. I think our tenure combined here is probably near 100 years with Suzanne's 25 and my 25. And Eric, I won't date you, but it's probably more than 25.
Yes.
It's great. Let's start with an easy question. Why did you each become a member of the NAMFS Association? And how's your experience been in the last few years? Chelsea, you want to start us off?
Absolutely. Well, I became a member of NAMFS, obviously through Altisource, but the reason I really enjoy the membership of NAMFS is this is the only association that is specific to field services, right? There's a lot of adjacent other associations that touch different parts of mortgage or real estate, but NAMFS is truly focused on field services and the contractors that complete field services and companies like Altisource. And so I think it's important to be a part of that. This is our piece of the pie, so to speak, and our area of focus. And it's very important to support that and get that community together as we are kind of a small subset and niche of the mortgage real estate industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think sometimes because we're such a niche, to use your word, we get less time in the bigger associations, right? Less focus. So NAMFS definitely is more focused on just prioritizing field services. I think it's fantastic. Suzanne, why did you join NAMFS?
Well, as I had mentioned, I was very solo, just kind of on my own out there doing inspections for quite a while. And I always had questions that I could never find answers to. I felt very isolated, like, I wonder if there was other people out there doing the same thing. It was a few years ago, so there was not the social media and the internet that there is today. So when I heard about NAMFS, I was very curious. I did not join right away. I felt like, oh, that's money I probably don't have, because I was very independent and small at the time. But as I continued to grow, my curiosity just kept saying, you really need to check this out. I think this is going to help you. And I was so happy when I did. It was this web of connections and people that are all supporting each other. And once I joined, I could tell that this was a good experience that you can collaborate with and you can get out what you put into it as well.
Yeah, so you mentioned collaboration and you get out what you put in. I think that's a phenomenal answer, and it's a good segue into the next question. Sometimes people are hesitant to talk in public. right? And NAMFS, we host a lot of webinars. We host industry events, leadership events. We have a conference every year. And some people are just quiet and reticent to participating and offering an opinion. And sometimes I hear from people it's because they're afraid to educate their competitor. How do you strike the balance between protecting your business interests while still contributing to industry-wide education through your NAMPS memberships? You want to start, Chelsea?
Yeah. So I think that's a general fear, regardless of what industry you're in, right? How do I make sure that I keep my, secret recipe, right? And it doesn't get out there. And I think the big thing to focus on is discussing the work or discussing expectations or repair strategies on these properties that we're doing services on is not giving away a secret recipe. If anything, you may learn something from someone who has figured out a better way, a more cost effective way, whether that's a supplier that, they were able to get a discount and better lock prices, right? Or best practices they found with preparing their subcontractors, right? I think you have to be open to learn from your competitor and your peers, and be confident enough in that it's not just your knowledge that is what's making you valuable. It's your performance, your quality, you're showing up every time, right? And that specific secret knowledge isn't the only thing that adds value and makes you valuable to a client or a field service shop. So I understand the fear, but at the same time, you have to communicate in order to help move us forward, processes, workflows, and the way that we do things.
That's great. Suzanne, do you have anything to add to that?
It's hard to add a lot more to that, but I do really feel that the communicating with people and, like she said, asking questions and giving your strategies and information, it only helps educate you. Sometimes when you bring up a little bit of what you do, it helps you to actually evaluate your processes. You might think that you're doing everything just perfect, and as you're starting to speak it out to others and they ask a follow-up question, it kind of, I usually end up fine-tuning my processes just by speaking to others, and it may not even be what they've told me. It just makes me reevaluate in my own shop what's going on. And as far as giving it away to others, it can happen, but it's generally, I mean, I've been in this for so many years. It's such a small percentage of people who are trying to steal anything from you. And as Chelsea said, if you're performing, if you have a good relationship with your clients, you really don't have anything to worry about. You're only going to improve.
That's great. Eric, how do you work as the executive director of NAMPS to make sure we have a safe environment where our membership can discuss and not feel that fear of giving away too much information?
Yeah, I think that's really important, and it's kind of one of the things that when we started with one of our more recent initiatives, the industry pricing initiative, there was a lot of concern about you were asking for a great deal of detail about my personal business and how will we go ahead and if I share this with you. So again, we do kind of have NDAs in place. We do make sure that we obfuscate the data. That information only is held by the NAMFS team, not the board of directors, not anything along those lines. It is always obfuscated. So whenever we do take in data, same situation when we were grabbing information from each one of the cost estimators and dialogues with those individuals. Again, that information was obfuscated and then combined and then basically presented as a whole to give a whole picture. So that's kind of what we do. We don't want to put anyone into a situation where they feel like they can't share. But as both Chelsea and Suzanne have indicated, I mean, that sharing is really paramount to everyone's success because we always do learn something from someone else. We do maybe hear somebody's doing something different. That's how we advance and that's how we grow as an industry. And so we're really, really excited about everyone's participation, but also we are very protective of making sure that we keep people's personal businesses private.
That's good. That's a good reassurance. So let's start with Suzanne. For members listening that might be hesitant to engage for all the reasons we just discussed, what's one small step that you would recommend they take today to get involved in our collective goals and objectives at NAMFS?
I've seen a lot of NAMFS will be involved in social media here and there, and I've seen a lot of negative comments or just statements just shutting it down. And I think an important step is for people to ask real questions and have a dialogue. Like there's sometimes an attitude that won't work. What, this is a waste. But I feel like if people ask questions, get involved, they're going to realize that everyone in this industry, NAMFS, is working on a solution and working to collaborate from the top down, the bottom up. Everyone is really working to help each other and make sure that we can be in compliance so we all make money. We all are doing, enjoying our work, basically. So whether maybe it's on social media, they can ask questions. There are podcasts they can set in and listen for themselves. Don't let others form the opinion for you.
I love that suggestion. Be part of the dialogue. I love it. That's fantastic. Chelsea, what are your thoughts on how to get a fearful person to participate and engage?
Yeah, so I agree with Suzanne. It doesn't have to be a huge involvement, right? But NAMFS does a great job of publishing white papers, publishing latest industry trends on social media, communicating initiatives, right? And if you see something that you don't agree with, or they say, hey, this is 95%, but you missed this, right? I encourage anyone to comment on those things, reach out to the poster, reach out to a member, right? Most of our NAMFS board members and members, they have something on their LinkedIn profiles that says, hey, I'm a proud member of NAMFS. Ask the questions, give that feedback, even if it's just a comment on those social media posts, as Suzanne said. It makes a difference because, it not acting is not helping, right? And so, if there's a better way to do things, if there's something that was left off, or if there was something that was missed in an initiative or a white paper, or what we're trying to push forward, speak up. I like to tell people, bring me solutions, not just the problem, right? And I absolutely love hearing that, right? So if something is out there that is causing field vendors to incur higher costs or delay or slowing down the process, we don't know it unless you let us know. And there's so many different ways they can get that across that doesn't take a lot of time. Comments, posts, messages.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Very little commitment, right? In commenting and posting. I am going to steal your not acting is not helping. I love that. I think that's a good takeaway. So be involved in the dialogue. And by the way, not acting is not really helping us progress with solutions. That's awesome. So a lot of our membership, including, the larger nationals, we're all very committed to the community, right? I mean, our indirect job is to preserve communities, preserve neighborhoods. And certainly a good chunk of our membership is out in the field doing that every single day, knocking on doors and actually cutting the grass and making the property look like the best property on the street, right?
Yep.
How does education through NAMFS and the other industry trade organizations and directly with other vendors in this space translate into preserving better communities and helping homeowners and neighborhoods out there? You want to start, Chelsea?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we're all trying to provide the similar service to the clients, right? We're out there, we're doing the dirty work, we're doing the debris removals and the toilet cleaning and the landscaping, right? And we do rely extremely heavily on the knowledge of our field contractors to let us know what we don't know, right? Is there a municipal ordinance, or is there a certain permit, or is there something that it's outside the norm? So we rely on that knowledge. And one of the things that I've noticed, especially in the climate we're in, where we have a a lot of our veteran contractors that have since moved on from preservation, right? Volumes are low. There's a lot of shops that are no longer running that were.
Mhm.
And with that, you also have new people trying to find their footing. And so if I'm brand new to preservation, I'm not going to have the experience of the, 20-year seasoned veteran contractor that's been doing this stuff. And so getting involved with NAMFS is a great way for those new vendors to, catch up, right? Kind of learn the lay of the land. And then networking with more seasoned vendors is a good way to build that knowledge, because we do rely a lot on their local knowledge. And if we are not aware of what we don't know, it could lead to problems that we don't want to incur. So having that communication between the clients, the field vendors, and as well as our veteran contractors, kind of helping the junior contractors that are just joining, is vital to keep a consistent product and service out there, which is what we want ultimately with our services for our clients.
Fantastic. Suzanne, do you have anything to add on the value of education?
I think I'll follow up with how Chelsea was mentioning communication amongst all levels. It's so important. Sometimes I've been in this industry so long, the clients are very young to me. Sometimes the people that I deal with, and I'm like, wow, okay. So you almost have to kind of give them a little bit of information where you're coming from. They just don't have the experience. It's not that they were trying to sabotage you in any way. So having the communication, explaining why maybe you're not doing something. For instance, it's a no trespassing sign on a clearly occupied property, and they're telling you to go through the gate. And so you need to have conversations with them to really have the best solution.
Mhm.
And the other thing is each person and facet in this industry, whether it's from the top to the inspector or preservation, by having the education, we're all getting a better outcome because we're all going to become more profitable. We're not going to be making those mistakes.
Mhm.
And even the homeowners, we would be giving door cards to homeowners to contact their mortgage company. And there were several times, I'm not in the field a lot anymore, but where the homeowners were very timid, and they kind of had their head in the sand. They didn't want to deal with it. They weren't reaching out to their lender or their servicer. And they would be like, how long do I have? And I would be, well, call this number. And there were times that I would come back again a few months later, and they'd say, hey, we're working on a solution. So that was really, exciting to hear. So the education from all of us involved, especially with NAMFS heading it, I feel like it's that core web that we can all kind of connect to, can help us have better outcomes all the way across the board.
Yeah, I often think of NAMPS as myth busting. It's our job, right, Eric, to educate, and through education, you're busting the mistruths or misunderstood truths across the organization. What are some of the ways we're working on that at NAMPS, Eric?
Yeah, so I guess kind of jumping back a little bit. I mean, getting people involved is really kind of paramount. And when we talk about time, energy, and effort, we do have the white papers. We do have things like the podcasts, where you can dip your toe in and learn a little bit more about the association. So I think that's really one of the things. You don't have to jump in full steam, but again, there's a lot of good information out there, so I would encourage everyone to kind of take a look at that. NAMFS does have an academy. So we do have an educational arm where we spend a lot of time putting together what are industry best practices. We're actually working with our education committee now and trying to see how we can have kind of an ongoing kind of a continuing education arm piece to it, so that, as new regulations or something happens, hey, here's an educational document that you can kind of encourage your people to kind of look at, whether you're looking at it as employees, whether you're looking at as 1099s, those types of things. There is more education out there. And so those are some of the things that we're working on. And then we're continuing dialogues further up the chain as we kind of see different types of regulations or requirements coming into play. Hey, here's kind of what our membership, which is very, very collaborative. Let me just say this. I mean, if you've never been to a NAMFS conference, it is not a bunch of people who are standing one off and, oh, I can't talk to so and so because they might steal this or that. It is a very collaborative area. Lifelong friends. I mean, Suzanne, I know you've been there for years, as many years as I have as well. It's just a great group of people who really do want to do the best, and they do want to make a difference for homeowners, communities, and the investors and servicers that they're doing the service for. So
That's great. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you all for participating in season 1 of the NAMFS podcast. Many, many more seasons to come. And I look forward to your participation in future seasons. So this is awesome. Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for watching and/or listening. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. We look forward to next Wednesday, when we unlock our 5th episode.